Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Today's Friday Live. This is Fiona Lukey's live streaming to you through Facebook and YouTube for my Free Friday. I'm here at 1:30 p.m. to answer any questions you may have about relationships, around life. For those of you who don't know me, I have been in the relationship space for 13, 14 years. I lose track now. I've worked with hundreds and thousands of people all over the world. I don't say that to big note myself, just to let you know that I am legit. I do have experience in this niche, and I'm very passionate about simplifying the way we approach relationships. I'm very passionate about bringing a breath of fresh air in the relationship space, which is, I think, often very complicated and misleading and confusing and overwhelming for people. So I'm all about simplicity and ease and showing you how easy and simple relationships can actually be, and they really, really are. I'm not exaggerating that. You just ask any of my clients or any of my students in my Relatable program, they will tell you that this is what they've learned. So, and I truly believe more than ever, as the world faces what it's facing, and we're all facing very different things, yet kind of the same thing at the same time, that the quality of our relationships matters more than it ever has. So I'm here to answer any questions you have. If you've just showed up for the live, feel free to say hi. I always like to know who I'm talking to or where you're from in the world. I know different people from different parts of the world tune in to listen to this every Friday, and I really value your support. And obviously, if you have a comment, please post it in the chat below, and I will do my very best to help you with that. Hey, Jason. Hello again. I was speaking to you yesterday? I can't remember. I think I was speaking to a Jason yesterday. Hello, Jason. Hi, Maz. Hello, beautiful lady. Lovely to see you here on this Friday afternoon. Cecily. Hey, beautiful. Hello. From Norway. It's got to be in the middle of the night for you. No, very early in the morning, I should say, not middle of the night. Now, Jason, where are you from again? I think I know you. I think you've told me, but I can't quite remember. Feel free to let me know. Anyone else who's on the live, feel free to say hi. Hi, Paul. Nice to see you. I think Paul, from memory. This will be testing my memory. Are you a Queenslander? I think you're from Queensland from memory. Let me know. Anyway, so Texas. Okay, gorgeous part of the world. An awesome part of the world is Texas, Jason. Fantastic part of the world. Would love to get back there one day. Hi, Lee. Hi, Lee from Sydney. Hi, Lee. Welcome. Nice to meet you. Nice to have you on the chat today. See, I've got a good memory. Yes, sunny coast. Nice part of the world, Paul. Enjoy. It's absolutely freezing here in Melbourne today. Thank you for that, Melbourne. Okay, everybody. So how can I help you? How can I be of service today? This is really just about being of service. What can I do? Brian from Bendigo, Victoria. Is this where I buy Krispy Kremes? No, I can't say I've ever eaten a Krispy Kreme donut in my life, nor can I ever see that happening. So, no, sorry, I can't help you with the Krispy Kremes, but might be able to help you out with something else. Hi, Brian. Nice to see you here. Okay, so this is your opportunity to ask me any questions around relationships, around life. I mean, I will, add in wherever I can to kind of expand on whatever it is you're bringing to the table. But really, this is your time, your opportunity, no strings attached. Ask me whatever you can, and I will do my absolute best to handle it. As I was saying earlier, thanks, Brian. As I was saying earlier, the relationship space is super complicated and misleading. And, I was speaking to a gentleman last night who's doing a program, which I will not name, who said that he is so overwhelmed by the program he's doing. They're getting him to go back to when he was born. And he said he's 46 years old. He's got to go back to the day he was born, relive his entire life, overcome every single piece of trauma, problem, issue, anything that stands out for him throughout the whole 46 years before he can actually move forward. And he's been doing this program for about 2 months. And he said, I'm exhausted. I haven't got past my teenage years. And I've got like another 28 years or something to go before I can even reach where I am now. And I said to him, well, you really don't need to do that. It is completely unnecessary. It's not helpful. You do not need to go back to your past in order for you to move forward in your now. I promise you, you do not need to do that. Okay. That's kind of the old way of doing things, and what makes things so complicated, because people just get stuck there. And then what they do is bring their past into their now. Okay. And then flavor their now with their past, right? This is what this is what people do, thinking that that's helpful. It's like, no, you have to understand. This is very important. Your past is finished. It's gone. It's done. It's no longer real in this now. It was real when it happened, but the only thing making it real in the now is you having memories carried through time via thought, bringing it into the now. And this is where you have to see that that is completely unnecessary. You don't learn new things by looking in the past. That is honestly like, imagine this for a second. Let's say you buy an old home that needs renovating, and let's just say that you decide to put in a brand new kitchen, totally modern kitchen sink. Maybe it's got a really old kitchen sink installed, and you want to update the kitchen. So you're like, right, I'm going to put in one of those groovy, black sinks seem to be all the rage with black mixer tap, and I'm going to put that into my kitchen. And you decide that the only place that you can find that new kitchen sink is in the attic of this house. Now, if you said to me, Fiona, I've bought a house, I'm putting in a brand new kitchen sink, and I'm like, great idea. I just have to go find it in the attic. I would be saying to you, no, you won't find it in the attic. No, I will. Because, they used to have kitchen sinks in that attic. There used to be things like that there. I know once upon a time there were kitchen stuff there. So I'm just going to go get looking in the attic. That's what that makes as much sense as I'm going to go back through my past. I'm going to trawl through every single thing, and I'm going to learn from there, right? You don't learn from what's happened. You learn from the now. This is the only place we learn. Okay, the only place. And there's so many reasons why. I could just talk about that for an hour, honestly, about why that matters and how important that is. And as soon as you appreciate that, the past becomes irrelevant. It's gone, finished. And you stop dragging it around like a big anchor tied to your ankle, which is what I see so many people do. Okay, it's a myth that you need to look in the past to stop yourself from making a mistake in your future. That is a myth. Okay. In fact, if you do that, you're more likely to repeat the same thing, because you're coming from fear, and fear has a habit of multiplying, just like concern has a habit of multiplying. Okay. You don't need to do that. Wouldn't it be easier just to start fresh? Wouldn't that be easier? That having to trawl back through your past and understand everything that's happened and kind of get your head, like, wouldn't it be easier just to go, okay, right now is a blank canvas. What do I want to create? This is what I teach my clients how to do, and it's very, very easy, and it is possible for anybody to do. Okay? It is very important. It's so much. This is why people say to me, I feel so much lighter. I feel so much freer. Yes, because you're not dragging around that massive, that massive dead weight, so to speak, which is everything in your past that is no longer relevant to now. I promise you it's not. This is kind of like the old school approach to things that needs to be overhauled, especially in our relationships. Okay? Because all that happens when you bring your past into your now, especially in your relationships, is people just become positional. They relive the past, they get kind of ignited by that, and then they bring that feeling into this moment and then go kaboom. Okay? It's like throwing kerosene onto a fire. So it's so not necessary, and so overcomplicating something. Okay? That was an obvious realization that you made me aware of. Yeah. Yes. Thanks, Maz. It is so helpful to see that, isn't it? So helpful to see that. Brian, I struggled to remember last week. Me too. Me too. I totally relate to that. And Jason, yes, absolutely. This is about having a clean slate, and anybody can. I really want you to know that anybody can have a clean slate. Anybody. There is no exception to that. None. And I know you might be sitting here and you might be saying, you don't understand what's happened in my past, Fiona. You don't know what I've gone through. And no, I don't. I don't. But I do know how human beings operate. I know that very, 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 very well. And I do understand the psychological functioning of people. I do know the operating system of a human being. And it's all the same. Okay. We all operate the same way. Yes, we're having different experiences, but we all operate the same way. And I can tell you right now. Okay. If you're a human being, you don't need to look back in your past to learn. You actually grow from the now. That's where we grow. That's where wisdom resides. That's where love resides. That's where creativity resides, fresh thinking, opportunities, new ideas. We learn from the new, we don't learn from the old. Okay. Um, Brian, what can be achieved looking back? Is there anything? No, I don't believe so. Now, some people would argue with me around that, and that's okay. But no, I don't believe so. All that happens is we get caught up in where we were before, and often, we're always evolving and growing. So when you look back in the past, you might be comparing yourself to and full of regret about something that you innocently didn't know back then that you do now. What's the point of that, right? Like, what does that achieve? Hey, Carly, nice to see you, honey. Nice to have you on the chat. What not to do? Yes, what not to do. We don't need to go back in the past. Okay? You don't. And especially not in your relationships. What has happened is done, it's finished. We have this incredible capacity to have a change of heart. This is what human beings are so good at. We really are. We're actually far better at having a change of heart, okay, than we are by going back and trying to learn something new by trawling in the past. We have an amazing ability to have a change of heart. We do. And what I have seen people have change of hearts super quick, super quick, super fast, instantaneously. It's possible. Now, don't hear this as you have to or you should or there's something wrong if you don't. But I just want you to know what you're capable of. I want you to know what you have capacity for, because this is something that people do not understand that they have capacity for. This is something people do not truly understand that they are capable of. Okay? Now, some of you listening to this may have a history of lots and lots of poor arguing, meaning you both get very upset. It's not a very safe space to argue, and you may have you may have years of that. And you may be thinking to yourself, but we've got years and years and years of arguments. And I'm telling you, because I have seen this multiple times. People coming to see me, they're in a really low feeling with each other. They're not feeling emotionally safe. They learn the understanding that I teach, and all of a sudden that just falls off. And they find that they can show up from a fresh, clean slate. They find that they can stop overthinking, overanalyzing, going round and round and round in their heads. In fact, they find that they put down an enormous mental load simply because it no longer makes sense to hold it in their heads. Okay? And this is an enormous reason why relationships fail, whether it's your relationship with your children, your partner, siblings, family members, in-laws. I have worked with siblings that were literally about to stop speaking to each other because they'd never liked each other in 40 odd years of being siblings. Okay. And I've seen them turn that around in less than 10 days, about a week and a half, I think it took. Now, I'm not saying this because I'm trying to big note me. It's just the power of the understanding that I teach. When you have that, people calm down because they actually see things very, very, very differently. Makes sense. Okay, Brian, makes sense. The best part is that when we change our hearts, others follow and amazing things happen. Yes, they do. They do. So many people don't understand how powerful they are, how much capacity they have to create change, how much impact they have or an influence on the people around them. And I'm talking about that from a place of energy. Okay. You might be someone saying, but I can never get the words right. I'm not very good at saying how I feel. It doesn't matter. It's your energy that creates the impact, right? The energy before the words. When your energy changes, you are creating impact in spite of yourself. How cool is that? Right? You can create an impact in spite of your misgivings, in spite of your concerns, because your energy changes. Or another word for it, I like to call it your flavor changes. I was just on a chat with I've already had 4 coaching sessions today. So and this was something that came up in each one of my sessions so far, is that this is our biggest blind spot. Okay, the flavor that we bring is our biggest blind spot, something people do not know. And it gets them into more trouble than they realize. And so, one of the things when you have this understanding is you start to become far more aware of your own flavor. And it's not something to be scared of, right? It's something to be celebrated, because when you realize your flavor, when you see it, guess what you have access to that you didn't have before? Choice. Choice is the greatest gift there is. You can't change what you can't see. You can't choose what you don't know about. right? The gift of choice is phenomenal. And I see so many people struggling in their relationships because they feel stuck. They feel like there's no other option. They have no choice, right? Choice brings unlimited possibilities. It brings a sense of hope. It brings a sense of excitement, right? Imagine having that feeling back in your relationship. And again, whatever it is, if it's your relationship with you, okay, imagine feeling that way about yourself. If it's your relationship with your partner, imagine feeling that about that relationship. If it's your relationship with your child, and I see a lot of issues with teenage children and parents, okay, imagine that. Imagine not feeling resentful, instead feeling excited. Okay? Imagine. Just try and imagine that. And I want you to know no matter what's happening, it's possible. Because that's the power you have. Why? Because you're a human being. I don't need to know your life story to know that it's possible. Okay? I know what human beings are capable of. I know the way people work. And I know when people have this understanding, they show up differently. They amaze themselves at what they're capable of. I hear this all the time. People say to me, I did not know I could listen to the depth to which I'm listening. I did not know I could be as present as I am. I did not know that I could let go of my thinking and stop the overthinking that I do. I did not know I could feel so calm. I did not know I could be so resilient, so insightful. This is what people realize about themselves. It's very exciting and it feels amazing, right? That's the great part. It feels amazing. Cecily. Okay, question. When discussing something and someone hangs up on you on the phone because they got upset, when should I get in contact with person again? Or should I wait because they were the one that hung up? Well, it's like anything, honey. There's no rule of thumb. I think if you're in a situation and someone hangs up on you, it's always healthy just to do a quick check-in on yourself, like an ecological check-in. Did I handle that very well? Could I have handled that a little bit better? Just do a quick check-in. And, it's always good to give people a little bit of space too. You can always send them a text message and reach out and say, hey, I'm sorry the conversation ended up like that. Let me know when you want to chat. You know what I mean? There's lots of different ways you can handle it. But again, tune into the now and see what makes sense. For some people, it might be, you know what? We need some time out for a while. For others, it might be, hey, I didn't handle that well. I really want to let them know and apologize. There's a myriad of ways. And I think it's very much a conversation by conversation situation that you need to check in on, a situation by situation. Again, hence why I'm going to come back to my initial point at the start of this live, that the more present we are to the now, the more in tune we are to the now, we get the answers that we need in the now, always. Okay. Now, when you see the power in that, there's a lot of thinking that is no longer required. You don't have to try and outthink the future because that's not necessary. And you don't need to solve the past because that's no longer necessary. Imagine if you didn't need to do those two things, what would be available to you from a bandwidth perspective. And when we've got a lot of bandwidth, wow, are we far more emotionally intelligent, calmer, present, loving, kind, generous, compassionate, wise? I could go on and on and on. The power of that and why that matters in our relationships. People astound themselves at their lack of reactivity when they have this understanding in their life. When they have and what I mean by this understanding is, I mean the understanding of how we operate as a human being. The understanding of the fact that we are all the same. We all operate the same way. And when you understand how a human being operates, you take that understanding with you into each and every relationship in your life. Serena. Hi, Fiona. My girlfriend suffers from anxiety and doesn't react or treat me great when it's heightened. Hard for me to stay regulated sometimes when this happens. True. I totally appreciate that, Serena, that when someone is upset or reactionary, it can be tricky. Now, here's where, when you understand what's going on with them, it's much easier because you understand what's going on. Now, when you understand what's going on with them, you see it far less personally. You tend to see it as more of a change in the weather as opposed to someone attacking you. You see it really, really, really differently because you actually understand what's going on in their operating system. This is what I mean about the power of this. You have this understanding, and it's far, far easier to feel comfortable when they're not comfortable, or to feel okay when they're okay. Far, far, far easier. And so, what happens when you are able to maintain your bearings when somebody else loses theirs? Guess what? They move out of their upset and their discomfort far more quickly because they're not feeling bad for upsetting you. So they move out of where they are more quickly. You are where you are, and you just pick up from where you left off and move on. And those things start to become a blip, as opposed to this thing that you drag around with you like a big piece of residue and a dead weight, which is what I see all the time. People dragging around emotional driftwood, okay? And then bringing that into the current situation. This is the power of understanding what's actually going on. It's no different to say, let's say you're driving a car and the car stalls. Now, if you understand mechanics and you understand why the car stalls, you're not going to get too upset. You're going to look under the hood and see what you can do to fix it. Okay? Because you understand what's going on. You go, oh, it's just this, this, and this. You change that, that, and that. You get back in the car and off you go. This is the same with human beings. All right? When you understand what's going on, and someone who is in a low mood, who's struggling with their thinking, who is feeling up against it, and who is uptight and reactionary, it becomes much easier for you to move through that with them. Now, I cannot tell you the power of being able to do that with your partner or with anyone, your child in law, anyone. What that does, right? What that does to the level of goodwill, safety, trust. You start building a history of dealing with conflict well. Relationships that have a history of dealing with conflict well go from strength to strength to strength to strength. Because this is huge for people. People do not know how to deal with their own and other people's emotional reactions. They don't. They don't know what to do. We all have capacity for it, but they don't know what to do. They don't know how to handle it. Um, Hey guys, thanks, Carly. Love your relatable explanations. Thank you, honey. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Um, haha. Yeah, that's right, Serena. Break the negative cycle. That's right. Now you have the power to do that, honey. This is the thing that people don't understand. You have the power to do that. Jason, what if you're the person with resentment? Just not be resentful? No, that doesn't work. Not being resentful doesn't work because you're resentful, right? You can't not be resentful on top of feeling resentful. That won't work. That's just using willpower. And as soon as you feel the conditions are appropriate for you to be resentful, the resentful will just take over. Okay? Believe me, I know that was me. I was riddled with it. Riddled with it. I had an unbelievable amount of resentment. And that just changed the flavor that I led with and had a huge impact on my marriage. Huge. And a lot of other relationships in my life. One of the greatest gifts that this understanding has given me is I don't have resentment. I don't have it at all. And I used to be riddled with it. And I mean it. I simply don't have it. It no longer makes sense to me. I just get to show up the way I really want to show up. The people in my life get the best of me instead of the worst, which is definitely what was happening. And you know what? Honestly, you don't know, right? You don't know what a relationship is capable of until you're bringing out the best in each other. You don't. So many people have been in a relationship where they've been bringing out the worst in each other for years, if not decades, and they've forgotten what's actually possible for the two of them, right? They've forgotten. But, until you bring out the best in each other, you don't know what that relationship's capable of. And it's easier to do than you realize. Much, much, much easier. We both have high defense mechanisms. Yep. Okay. And that's also common. All it takes is one of you, Serena. Okay? All it takes is one of you. And it's far, far easier to change than you realize. I teach this step by step in my relatable program. Just ask some of the guys on the chat here. Carly will let you know she had a huge amount of resentment, right? And she has no problem in admitting that. Maz had a lot of resentment. I mean, it's very, very, very common, but it is the most freeing feeling in the world when you don't have it anymore. I can't tell you. I feel like I've been given a get out of jail card because the biggest person that was taking a toll on was me. It really was. It was taking a toll on the biggest person it was taking a toll on was me. It was totally destroying my quality of life, my level of well-being, my ability to show up to the now. I can't even begin to describe to you. Hence why I say it's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And it is an understanding that I take with me through so many different scenarios. I can't even express to you how important it is. You do not have to live in resentment, and you can actually move past resentment without anything out here changing. True story. True story. Just ask these guys. Yep, Maz saying, yep, she had lots of resentment. Hey, Disa, have I pronounced your if I pronounced your name correctly? Apologies if I haven't, Disa. But nice to have you here, honey. And I've received an email from you that I know I need to respond to. A beautiful email from you, and I thank you for your beautiful words. I really, really do. I haven't forgotten about you. I just tend to have a lot of my email list tends to get a bit overwhelming sometimes, but I will respond to your email, honey. Lots. Carly had lots. Yes. Hey, Natasha. Nice to see you, honey. Best program ever. Can't get enough of it. Yes. Thank you. Appreciate your kind words, honey. Oh, yeah. Letting go is beyond believable how it affects life. I'll never forget the day I forgave her, and more so myself. Yeah. Best feeling in the world. It is the best feeling in the world, and you can't fake it. You can't fake it. Okay. It's not one of those things where you fake it till you make it. It has to be authentic, clean, real, and true. And it is absolutely 100% possible for you. So if you're living in a feeling of resentment, if you're feeling stuck, if you're going round and round in your head thinking about all the past hurts that have been done to you by someone or some other people, and you don't know how to get past that, I promise you, you don't have to live that way. You really don't. And none of this has to change in order for you to feel emotionally free. None of it. None of it has to change. This is how powerful you are and you don't know it. This is what's on offer for you in life and you don't know it. I promise you. You're feeling overwhelmed. You're feeling anxious. I used to get crippled by overwhelm. Don't have it at all now. That's probably not true. Probably not. I shouldn't say not at all, but very rarely. And if I do, I move past it really, really quickly. Yeah, that's exactly right, Carly. I choose not to live in the feeling of that anymore. And if you've just joined us, what Carly's talking about is resentment. I was hurting myself by staying there. Absolutely. The price that you pay is enormous, and people don't realize it. In their quality of life and their day-to-day levels of joy, well-being, peace of mind, calm, stuff that you cannot put a price on. Okay, you can't drink it away, you can't eat it away, you can't drama it away, you can't get rid of it through anger or lots and lots of reality TV, which is what a lot of people do. No, you can't. You can't. It's always there, bubbling away under the surface. Imagine if that was gone. That was no longer in your existence, no longer in your life at all. Imagine the feeling you would have. Imagine. It's unimaginable. Carly, wouldn't have gotten to where I am without the program. Thank you, honey. Thank you. So, and it's been a pleasure having you on the journey, all of you. So, I'm just going to check in. I'm going to stop talking for a second. I've been speaking for a little while, so just want to see, is there anyone here who has a question, who would like me to help them get some clarity around something that they're stuck with or they want to know more about? We've had a couple of people ask some great questions so far. A couple of people share some really awesome comments. So is there anyone here? How can I help you? What are you stuck with? How can I be of service? Laurie, what if your partner's unfounded accusations are chronic and their insecurities show up daily over the most minor things? How do you stay in your good place when it feels like relentless attacking and you are living on eggshells? How can you help them see their negative thinking is creating their reality? Okay, great question, Laurie. And here's the thing, that's probably not going to be what you want to hear, honey, okay? But when you understand what I'm pointing you to, it will change everything for you, okay? First off, the first thing you got to understand is that this has nothing to do with them. Now, I know it looks like it, and I don't want to diminish what you are going through in any way, shape, or form. However, the fact that you are walking on eggshells, right, tells me that you are coming from a place of fear, And it tells me that if you're walking on eggshells and coming from a place of fear, you probably spend a lot of time justifying yourself. Okay? Now, when you just feel like you have to justify yourself, people feel like they are more entitled to project their stuff onto you. Okay? When you're walking on eggshells, you're not coming from a place of empowerment and conviction in you. And you have to understand that this lack of empowerment and conviction in you, and don't hear this as fault. This isn't about fault. I'm not interested in fault, right, wrong. It's irrelevant. It's so irrelevant. It's just about you understanding that life is always giving you feedback. It is. And when you see that and you don't see it from a place of fear and worry and whatever, you see it as this amazing gift you're being given. It just gives you an opportunity to evolve. Because as I say to my students in Relatable all of the time, you've got two choices in life: evolve or repeat. Okay? And situations come into our life that enable us to evolve. Yes? That's what they're there for. They're there for you to evolve. Now, it sounds like, Laurie, you're doing a lot of repeating because you're looking out at them. How can I change them? How can I fix them? How can I make them different? How can I? Because in your mind, it looks like the only way I can feel better is if they change. Now, I'm going to go back to what I was just saying before. One of the things I teach, in the part of the understanding I teach, and I teach this with my one-on-one clients and in my Relatable program, is that you can create the change that you need and want. You can have a completely different experience of something without this thing needing to change. That's where you get your power back. And then from there, you create change from an empowered place as opposed to a fearful, diminished place. Now, when people do that and they show up to unfounded accusations and chronic insecurities from an empowered place, this absolutely changes things in the other person. Because you're no longer justifying, you're no longer explaining, you're no longer defending or proving. See, when we show up in life feeling like we have to defend, justify, or prove ourselves, it gets mirrored back at us, because this is fear. Those are three different ways of describing fear. When you come from a place where you realize you do not need to do that with anybody about anything, that is called true emotional, spiritual, and mental freedom. This is what I teach. This is how you have amazing relationships. Okay? So I would say to you, honey, it probably doesn't seem fair right now, but you're being given an opportunity to evolve. And it has nothing to do with your partner. Serena, how to deal with a difference in intimacy, meaning one of you wants intimacy more often than the other, I'm guessing. Well, intimacy has a lot to do with the level of emotional connection that you have. So there's emotional intimacy and there's physical intimacy. And if emotional intimacy is low, then physical intimacy will disappear very quickly. Okay? So if there is a difference in libido, or one of you wanting sex more often than the other, then the first place I would be looking at is, where is our level of emotional intimacy? Because if goodwill is low, if emotional intimacy is low, then that will show up in physical intimacy, because physical intimacy starts in the mind and the body second. Okay, especially for women. So that would be the first place I would be looking. How do you have a meeting of the minds? Being in partnership, creating goodwill. These are the things I teach, and these are the things that build a relationship from the bottom up. Okay? When you're looking at things like communication, when you're looking at things like meeting each other's needs, values, looking back in the past, all that kind of stuff, you are building a relationship from the top down. Those are not the things that create beautiful foundations in relationships. Okay? You've got to be able to do it from the bottom up. Okay? You've got to know how to create goodwill. You've got to know how to navigate your own humanness. So important. In fact, the most important thing that people aren't being taught, and is the game changer. Okay? You've got to know when you are having a meeting of the minds with someone and when you are not. You have to know when you're in partnership. You have to understand the pillars of partnership. These are all the things that I teach. When you have that, it becomes super easy. to deal with unfounded accusations, differences in intimacies, differences in levels of awareness, communication, all those things become far, far, far easier because you're operating from a meeting of the minds. Okay, this is another thing people don't know how to do, right? And it's nobody's fault. You just kind of taught to look in the wrong direction for the answer to this stuff, okay? And I'm telling you, you don't find the answer by trawling back through your past and dealing with every single situation that happened back there. That's not how you have a meeting of the minds with someone, right? Just not. It's not how you create goodwill, the stuff that actually matters, right? It's not how you create emotional intimacy. It's not how you create a history of dealing with conflict well. You don't do it by looking back there. Okay, that's like driving your car looking in the rear vision mirror. And it's so complicated and unnecessary. Um, I'm glad that was helpful, Laurie. My pleasure, honey. I'm glad you found that helpful. Um, I was telling Maz a story about a meeting the minds like half an hour ago. Absolutely amazing. Okay, good for you, Brian. Well done. Well done. Awesome. Okay, so anybody else have a question? How can I be of service to you today for the little bit of time that we have left? Just checking my messages. Just one second. Okay. And I know some of you, okay, there's a few of you messaging me asking for the link to Relatable. I will put that up there like I always do. Here is the link to Relatable, where I teach you all of this, my 8-week step-by-step program that these guys have done and absolutely love. Okay, so, so what else can I help you with? Let me know whether this conversation is helpful, the things that I'm talking about. Can you see how they can be helpful to you? Can you see how they could be relevant for you in your relationships? And if you've just joined us, feel free to say hi and let me know where you are from. Where in the world are you tuned in from? I know there's different people from Australia here. We've got people from Norway, Mexico, Canada, Melbourne, obviously, which is where I am from. Just curious, where in the world are you from? Feel free to say hi. I'd love to know who's online at the moment. Laurie, you're in Canada. Okay, cool. Carly's from Canada, who was just on here. I'm not sure if Carly's still on here, but Carly's from Canada. Vail, Colorado. Okay, Daisy, you're from Vail. Beautiful. Colorado is such a beautiful, beautiful part of the world. Absolutely love it. Oh, hope to get back there. And I love Canada too. Hopefully I can get back to Canada if we ever get allowed to leave the state. I mean, do you know Melbourne's been given the wonderful honor of being the city the longest city in lockdown in the world now. We won that world record yesterday. Lucky us. That's true. We now are the city that has been in the longest city in lockdown in the world. This is the wonderful record that Melbourne has. We can't even leave the state, let alone leave the country and go visit anyone anywhere. It's just nuts. So we've got Vail, Colorado. We've got New Zealand. Hey, Simon, welcome from New Zealand. We've got Shepparton. Hey, Serena, you're in Shepparton. Great spot. Carly, British Columbia. Not so livable anymore. No, Melbourne's not considered the most livable city in the world at the moment. No, not at all. Lorne, New South Wales, Maz. Yeah, Jason, it is really insane here. It's crazy. So I'm just going to keep showing up and doing whatever I can do, because I'm telling you right now, the more connected we are, the more solid we are in ourselves, the greater our ability to connect with others and the stronger we are as a whole. And right now, that's what the world needs. It needs people who we need to be strong together. We need to come together. We really, really, really do. And a great place to do that is to get really, really good at your relationships. Really, I promise you, anyone can do relationships well. You're born to do them well. I've not met anyone who has not had an extraordinary result from having this understanding, who've completely changed. I've met Men who've been so angry, they've ripped apart entire families, and I've worked with them and they've found a sense of calm and peace and they've completely turned around. I've worked with women who've torn apart their families. I've worked with people with extreme anxiety, depression, who feel stuck in the past, full of regret, people who are riddled with fear and suspicion and can't trust. It doesn't matter what you're dealing with. I promise you, this understanding will help you. Now, how can I be so clear about that? Well, because I'm talking about something that is truth. And there are very few things in life that are true. And when I say something is truth, it means it applies to everybody all of the time. That's what makes something a truth, not to a select group of people some of the time, to everybody all of the time. That is what I'm teaching you. So it doesn't matter how old you are, what you've done, what's happened in your past, where things are now. All you need is to be a human being. All you need is to understand how to navigate your own humanness, and you can take it anywhere in the world you want to with anybody. To me, it's like I said, the greatest gift I've ever been given. Hey, Natasha. Yep, sunny Perth. Yes, nice to throw in the word sunny. Thank you for that, because it's not sunny here. I'm slightly jealous, but thank you for that. Brian, yeah, ADHD. Brian has ADHD and has done my program and has had an incredible change from what he's learned. So, you know, if you're someone who overthinks, I want you to know that's getting in the way of your ability to feel joy. It's getting in the way of you to connect to others. It's getting in the way of you to feel good about you. It's getting in the way of you having joy moment to moment, irrespective of lockdowns, irrespective of the things that are going on in the world. This is still available to you, right? It really is. And I passionately, passionately, passionately want people to know that. So you can access that even when life is crazy out here, and it is. It really, really is at times. I get that. I get that. But the wonderful thing about learning this is you get to move through life with humility, ease, and grace. And you know what? We just need more people in life doing that. Moving through life with humility, ease, and grace. People standing in their power, finding their voice, living from their truth, not by obliterating other people, but by showing up to things from a place of clarity, conviction, calm, peace of mind, well-being. It's entirely possible. No matter what, it's entirely possible. Yes, so true, Maz. The connection found right here is just the beginning of the ripple effect we can have on the world. And one of the reasons I show up here every Friday is because the game in my mind is not just about me in this moment or you. This is about lifting the level of humanity. This is the game I'm playing. And you might sit there and go, man, this woman sounds crazy. She sounds insane. That's fine. I know when I put myself out there in public, that's the kind of stuff that's going to come my way. That's just an inevitable part of it. And it's all good because my commitment to be of service is greater than my fear of what people think of me. Way, way, way greater, way bigger. I'm playing a much bigger game than that. But yes, your level of connection, your ability to connect and show up is what creates ripple effects all over the world. You are that powerful. That's what you need to know. And that's what I want you to understand. So no matter how disempowered you feel right now, no matter how stuck, how overwhelmed, you don't have to live in the feeling of that. You don't. I promise you. Okay? Hell yes, says Jason. Yes. Hell yes. I agree. Hell yes. So this is the game I'm playing. I want to uplift the level of humanity. And now how do I do that? By one, I'm just going to help teach people how to navigate their own humanness, how to understand the operating system of a human being, how to show up in a way where they feel proud of themselves, where they're not leading from a place of fear, where they don't feel like they've got to rewrite the past in order to feel okay about the now, where they show up where they've got clarity of mind, a sense of conviction, a sense of knowing who they really are, and so that they can really show up in the world the way they want to. Imagine if you could do that. Cool, huh? Super, super cool. Your teaching needs to be available in schools too. Teaching kids at a young age is understanding. Yep, this is true. And people are starting to do that. It's starting, definitely starting. I love my businesses, but when I have those sorted, I want to work with Fiona for free. That's the good work. Yep. Well, love to have you there, Brian. I think you've got so much to offer with the things that you've seen. Carly, I feel the same way. It's just such a gift of freedom in this life. Yes, it is. The gift of freedom. You can't put a price on that. This is why I say it's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. And I use this understanding in so many ways. I used it to make an enormous decision in my life the other day, and I was able to make that decision, which is a decision that I would have been stuck on, overthought of, spent days and weeks on. I was able to make that decision in around 24 hours because I know when I have clarity of mind. I know when I have thinking I can trust. I know how to navigate my reality. I know when I'm tuned into wisdom. And I know when I have that in place, I know it's very clear what needs to happen next. Very clear. Okay, everybody, I am about to finish up this live. So before I do that, I'm just going to check in. Is there anything else that I can assist you with, be of service around? Any other question I can answer before I sign off for today? If you found this live helpful, please let me know in the comments below. And you can send me an email to hello. Hang on, get my microphone out of the way. hello@fionalukis.com.au. If you want to send me an email for next week's live, I'll put that up on the screen for you. And for those of you who, I know some of you are messaging me and wanting to know how to buy a copy of my ebook, I will give you the link for that now. Some of you are asking me about that. So here's the link to my ebook. All right, there. It's $5.90 US. For those of you who are wanting to know how much that is. And as always, for those of you, I know some of you have lots of questions about Relatable. Feel free to reach out to me if you do. Relatable is my 8-week online program where I teach you everything I've just talked about here at an in-depth level so you can take it with you everywhere you go in your life. Okay. Thank you so much, Maz. So appreciative of your comments, honey. Really, really appreciative of it. Thank you for being on the live, everybody. Lots and lots of love to you. I hope you find these helpful, and I will see you. Hey, Ricky. Hey, Ricky. Nice to see you on the chat. And I will see you next Friday at 1:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Ciao, everybody. Thank you, Disa. Bye, Carly. Mwah. Love you too, darling. Bye. Thanks, Natasha.